Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be comparing a 2020 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon to a 2020 Jeep Wrangler Sahara. Now the reason I'm making this video is I had a subscriber request for me to compare these vehicles, so if you guys want me to do a specific vehicle comparison, definitely let me know in the comment section below. But as always, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Chrysler Jeep and Sandy for providing us with the Rubicon and with the Sahara. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description below, so if you're in the market for a new Jeep, definitely check out their inventory and then contact them. Let's get into the video. Well, let's go into the hoods of both of the Wranglers. So starting with the Rubicon over here, we have the 3.6 liter naturally aspirated V6. It goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 22 on the highway, with power outputs being 285 horsepower and then 260 foot-pounds of torque. Now, coming over to the Sahara, I picked one with the 2.0 turbo. So that's going to be good for 270 horsepower and then 295 foot-pounds of torque. Fuel economy being 21 around town and then 22 on the highway, and also has an 8-speed automatic transmission. So just to reiterate for you guys, better fuel economy, less horsepower, more torque. A little bit worse fuel economy, more horsepower, less torque. Now let's go over the front ends of both of the Wranglers. Now first off with the Rubicon, this one has the regular light package, so it's just halogen bulbs, no fancy LEDs for the turn signals or anything like that. Still get fog lights, still get the cool red tow hooks, and by the way, this one's finished in what's called bikini. It's a really, really cool blue color. But anyways, it's cool how you can see just the tire setup through the bumper gap there. And then other than that, on the side of the hood, you got the Rubicon, and then you've got the venting on the hood with the Rubicon. Now over here onto the Sahara, this one's got the LED light package. So the lights are full LEDs. You can see the little LED accent lights that go around, and then LEDs for the turn signals. Now the hood itself, notice that it's completely flat on the Sahara, and then you can see the tire set up there on the side, which we'll go over that in a moment. But again, you got little fog lights up front, but they both have Jeep's signature front end grille. And here's just one more look at the front ends of both of them. Let's go over the tire and rim setup, starting with the Sahara. 255mm tires on 18-inch rims, and then over onto the Rubicon we got 17-inch rims with 285mm tires. So the Rubicon's tires are significantly wider, and you can just see that. Now the Sahara tires, they're okay for the off-road, but these are kind of more like street tires, whereas the Rubicon, you can see they're just so much beefier, and they're going to do way better on the off-road just based on how much wider they are, and then also just the tread itself. Other than that, on the side, got the fender flare. The Sahara has the painted fender flare. Now it says Sahara there on the side, whereas over here it just says Jeep, and you got kind of like the red outline on it. Now over here you can see kind of like the protection here on the side that goes all the way to the fender front and the back, whereas the Sahara just has these little side steps, obviously to make getting in and out a little bit easier. And let's head to the rear. Here is our key fob for the Rubicon. It's got a couple functions: your unlock, your lock, and a remote start. If you press the remote start function twice, it'll start up. Just give it a moment. And you guys will be able to compare that with the sound of the Sahara. Press that again, and that'll shut it off. Now, if you just press the unlock function, you can do the whole shenanigans here in the back. Now, just like all the Wranglers in the past, you open up this part first, and the tire's mounted on it, and then you open up the window second to see the storage space in the rear. Now, this is just one of the covers with the Jeep. This part's pretty cool. So this is where you can hide all of the bolts and screws when you do take off the top itself. That does require tools. And then you do get a little charging station back here. In terms of storage space, it's pretty decent. And then note, it does have the Alpine sound system in the rear. And then when you are done with everything in the back, you have to do an order. So window first, and then you do the door second, and you're done. Here is our key fob for the Sahara. Now it's got the same functions: your unlock, lock, and remote start. And for some reason the remote start's being funny, so obviously you just press this twice. First time supposed to lock it, second time supposed to remote start it, and nothing's happening. But regardless of that, you guys will hear the exhaust note later in the video. We can come to the back here, and it does have keyless entry for this back part, which is pretty cool. But again, opens just the same as on the Rubicon. All this stuff back here is the same as what's in that Rubicon. Still got the charging station, still got this little stuff here, and then under here you can still store the stuff for the top. Now one thing you notice is this one does not have that Alpine sound system. And then again, just in order, that part first, this part second, and you're done. Now let's quickly go over the elements in the back of both of the Jeeps, and those LED lights look pretty cool. Start over at the Rubicon here. So again, tire on the back, and you get the backup camera right there in the center of it. And again, huge beefy tire. You can see just how wide and aggressive that is. Again, because this one doesn't have the LED light package, it has the standard lights in the rear. And then over there on the side, you do get a little red tow hook. Now coming over here to the Sahara, notice that again, you got the tire on the back, but you can see just how much more narrow it is compared to what's on the Rubicon. Still got the camera in the center. You get a tow hook in the back, it's just not painted red. And then the LED lights definitely look a lot more premium. So if you do get a Rubicon like this, I recommend to get these lights if you can make it work within your budget. Normally this is the part where I go in the back of both the vehicles, but I do want to mention the suspension difference between these, because now from here I can kind of go along the vehicle and show you guys everything with the suspension. So the Rubicons, you notice that the suspension is a little bit higher than what is in the Sahara. That you can see the Sahara just sits a little bit lower, so you get better ground clearance. And part of the sitting higher just because the tires are bigger, so that is a part of it. But if we come up to the front, you can see the difference a little bit better with the suspension there compared to both of them. And the Rubicons do come with the Fox shocks, which is pretty cool. So again, that's going to help up with the off-road. We'll go over some other off-road tech in a little bit. But yeah, that's just something to note in terms of differences between the two. Opening up the rear of the Rubicon, notice that we do get this little padding in this area, and then you can see the door handle and get some cargo netting there on the side. Now we are going to pop in. So popping in, there is this little grab handle that'll definitely help out. But once I'm in here, it's actually pretty comfortable. I do get a couple of vents back here, and then I do get the little window controls in the center, some charging stations, some more cup holders. Now in terms of the seats themselves, you can see that they are cloth seats in this particular Rubicon, and you get the red contrast, the stitching even on the cloth seats. I think this part of the seat's pretty interesting. Now I'm about 5'11", and the Jeeps are actually pretty good for headroom. Now just because of this top being able to be taken off, and they have like the roll cage and everything, it's just it's good for headroom. So solid on that point. And well, we're gonna kind of hop out of that one and close her up. Coming over to the Sahara now, notice that we get this nice stitching, so a little bit more premium. And obviously we're going to take that off. And coming into the Sahara, those side steps really don't help out because they're just too high up to really step on to be of any use. Now I do get this little storage pocket back here. A couple more vents. You can see window controls, charging stations, cup holders, all the same. And then the seats, leather upholstery in this with white contrasted stitching. And we actually get some cup holders in this little thing with some like armrest action. Now headroom is going to be identical to what's in the Rubicon. I mean, it's the same vehicle in the back, so we're good there. And well, we're done. Coming up to the front of the Rubicon, again, you got kind of like this little padding right here. They do have the controls for the mirrors and the door lock and unlock. And then here are these seats in the front. It says Rubicon on it, full cloth seats, nicely bolstered. Everything's gonna be manually adjustable. There's a little pedal layout just at the bottom. Controls for the lights, fog lights there on the side. Steering wheel is gonna be manually adjustable. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for everything until we pop inside. But we'll head over to the Sahara first. Sahara's a little bit fancier on this particular one. It's got keyless entry. Opening it up, again, you can see the stitching here on this Sahara. Now you've got the little controls for the mirrors, the door lock and unlock. And then the seat says Sahara on it, full leather, nicely bolstered, just like the Rubicon, still manually adjustable. Pedal layout at the bottom. Light controls are in the same area. Steering wheel is manually adjustable. And there's one more look before we pop in. Well, after looking at the Rubicon. Now to start up this Rubicon, foot on the brake, push start. Does that little kind of like Jeep graphic there, which is pretty cool, and everything will come to life. Here is our steering wheel in the Rubicon. Now I just think it's cool, this little part is a circle, definitely a nice little touch. Cruise control on the other side, you can see the red contrasted stitching that goes all along. Then you got controls for the center screen, your voice command controls, all that's normal. Radio controls are on the back of the steering wheel. You got your turn signal stock, also to flash the high beams, and then windshield wiper stocks on the other side. Now behind this all is the gauge cluster, so RPMs over on the left side, on the right side you've got the speed, and then in this little center gauge cluster, it just shows you different bits of information on it. The only thing that I think is cool, which I've already passed up by accident, is the off-road status stuff. So it's cool that it kind of shows you this stuff when you are going off-roading. It's pretty handy. I use it in my Raptor all the time, so it's just as handy in a Wrangler. Here's our center infotainment system, and first off, we're gonna do the backup camera. So if we pop it into reverse, the backup camera will pop up. It's got little trajectory lines on it. You can see resolution on it, super solid. Now, in terms of controls on it, you get heated seats and heated steering wheel, even in this cloth trim package. It does come with navigation. The touchscreen response time is super solid as well. Now, the one thing that I'm gonna go over in this one that I won't go over in the Sahara if it has it is gonna be the off-road pages. That's gonna take just a second to load up. And while that's loading up, I'm gonna go over these controls down here. Area controls, again, for the heated seats, heated steering wheel, analog climate controls, volume controls, all that kind of stuff. And then over here, you've got like your mute button, auto stop, start to turn that on or off, stability control, and then the hill descent control as well, and then obviously to turn off the screen. Now that the off-road pages have popped up, there's just a couple different things that it shows you. You can see like the accessory gauges, again, pitch and roll, just like that little center stack, and then what your drivetrain is in. So pretty cool little setup. Here are all of our little charging stations in this area. Windows are in the center. And a lot of people have asked me why they put these in the center. You can take the doors off, and the more stuff they put in the center means less wiring and obviously makes it easier to take the doors off. Now over here, we've got another little charging station. Auxiliary ports in this little area, which is important if you want to put light bars or anything like that. Now this is a huge difference between the Sahara and the Rubicon. The Rubicon comes with the sway bar disconnect, and then you have front and rear lockers. The Sahara does not have that. This obviously will help a ton with the off-road. The sway bar disconnect will give you a little bit more movement, and then the lockers, especially when you're crawling, it's a huge help. Now this is the shifter for the 8-speed automatic, and you can shift the gears yourself if you want in that little manual mode. And then this is the driveline shifter, so whether you're in 2-wheel high, 4-wheel high, neutral, or 4-wheel low, just use all that. And then get a regular little handbrake. Here's some cup holders, and you can hold your little key in that area. And then we've got the little center console. Opening that up, there's storage at the top. Opening it up again, there's more storage with a charging station. And then finally, we've got the glove box over here. And while we're in this area, I just want to mention the Rubicon has this red accenting on the dash. The Sahara will not. I just wanted to show you guys up top. So this first part you can just remove with these little latches. It's a pretty simple procedure to take off these parts. Now the rest you do have to use power tools, or not power tools, just tools in general to take it off. And other than that, things are super simple up top. If you do live in an area like Utah where it gets really cold, I recommend getting insulation on this part. It also helps out with road noise. Now let's start with the Sahara here, and a lot of the stuff is going to be the same as what's in the Rubicon, so we're going to kind of go over it, but it says Sahara there instead of Rubicon in the center, and everything will pop on. Now here is the steering wheel. All the controls here are the same. The only difference is you'll get white contrasted stitching. All the rest of the controls all in this area are the same. Now here in the center stack, you can see the gauges all look identical to what's in the Rubicon, and throughout this area you still get a little off-road status because, I mean, ultimately it is a Jeep. Now coming over here, you can see the infotainment system is a little bit different than what's in the Rubicon. This one doesn't have the larger infotainment system, but you still get heated seats and a heated steering wheel. No cooled seats are available. Popping on the backup camera, you can see resolution on that is just as good as what's on the Rubicon. Now, in terms of the rest of the controls on this touchscreen, it has pretty much all the same stuff, but it does not have those off-road pages like what the Rubicon has. Down here, this is all going to be identical to what's on the Rubicon. All of the controls are going to be the same down to the hill descent control, auto start, everything still dual zone climate. All of your window controls and everything is all the same in this area. You still get the driveline shifter down here for the 2-wheel high, 4-wheel high, neutral, and 4-wheel low. Notice that this area is empty. No auxiliary switches, no sway bar disconnect, and no lockers. The shifter though, again, you still get the manual shift mode, and that is all the same. E-brake, the only difference is you get this nice stitching on it, but functions the same. Still get the same cup holders. Center console, again, the only difference is the stitching here, and it still opens up to the same. All of that is, again, the same. And the glove box, Wow, it's the same. It's crazy. It's like they're the same vehicle. But remember, there's red trim in the Rubicon, whereas this has the black trim, and then it has stitching through it just to make it look a little bit more luxurious. Now, if we do pop up to the top here, notice that up top, this is all the same. So the functionality and all this is the same. And my recommendation for the insulation still stands. Again, it helps out with road noise, which is a huge thing with the Wranglers because they can get noisy. This one will be a little bit more quiet since it doesn't have off-road tires though. Now let's go over pricing on both of these. This Rubicon stickers for about $51,000 before any type of market adjustment, and then the Sahara stickers for about $50,000 before any type of market adjustment. So they're pretty much the same price, and that's why I chose them, because I wanted to compare two Jeeps, a Sahara and a Rubicon, that were about the same price, because then you guys can ask yourself, would I want more off-road tech for the money, or would I want a little bit more luxury for the money? And that's really the biggest difference. The Rubicon here is going to be the crazy off-road Jeep. This is going to be still an off-road vehicle nonetheless, but it is going to be a little bit more tuned for on-road use. Now, for me personally, I'm going to go for the off-road one because it looks a little bit better, especially with the beefy tires. And I'm telling you, because of how much I off-road, that sway bar disconnect would be awesome to have on a Raptor, but I don't have it. But the lockers, for sure, that is a huge thing, and that's a huge plus for the Rubicon. I wish that they would almost make that standard, but then that's the whole reason why the Rubicon trim package exists, pretty much, is because of the lockers and the sway bar disconnects. So yeah, and again, I guess to pick a winner, I would pick the Rubicon personally, but I could understand if someone gets a Sahara if they want an on-road vehicle. Now, I want you guys to let me know in the comment section below if you would rather pick the Rubicon or the Sahara and why. But as always, if you're stopping in for the first time, please subscribe and please give me recommendations on vehicles that you guys would like me to compare, because I'd rather do these videos than sit in my house and talk about boring stuff. But regardless of that, again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler here in Sandy, Utah for providing us with the Rubicon and with the Sahara. Inventory is going to be in the description below. Definitely give them a look, and I will see all of you in that next video.